What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here tonight with the review for this is Greenleaf Season 4, Episode 10. I don't know if this was the mid-season finale or if this was a season finale, but we know it was a finale nonetheless. And baby, when I tell you, this was a good episode. Oh my God. Amazing. Like this life, it giveth me my life. 100%. Like this made up for that lackluster episode of Power this past Sunday. Woo! Let us get into it. Let us dissect this episode. Let us talk about it. Let the church say what? Amen. Praise Jesus. Praise him. Praise him. The Lord is my shepherd. Woo! Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Because I felt that. I felt that spirit. Y'all feel that spirit? Because I definitely 100% felt the spirit in this episode. And it came in the last 4 minutes of the episode. But you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into the video. Praise Jesus. Who in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. But in this episode, I don't know if he necessarily 100% did it for me, but the episode did it for me. But we're going to start the episode out. So this episode, it actually picked up where last week's episode left off. If you guys remember, AJ walked into the church and Grace announced that would be her last Sunday preaching at the church. So, you know, and the church, the congregation, they are so extra. Like what happened with Bishop last season. But, yeah, so like I said, AJ's there. So Grace goes out. She's like, wait a minute, AJ, like, what are you doing here? He was like, man, but you and Sophia, y'all been blowing on my phone, so here I am. I mean, they wanted you to come back, but they didn't necessarily mean come to the church. And he's talking about how he's there to turn himself in. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're there to turn yourself in. And I'm wondering this question. So if he turns himself in, wouldn't that still get Grace in trouble? Because if he turns himself in, he would be saying, okay, my alibi was a lie, which means that Grace lied for me. So wouldn't that put her in some kind of trouble? I'm confused about that part. So then we saw Grace. She was talking to Aaron, and she and Aaron were talking to AJ, and they're telling him like, don't turn yourself in. Like, you know, if you turn yourself in, you have the possibility of facing up to 10 years in prison. He says, fine, I'm cool with that. And I'm still sitting here thinking to myself, but if you turn yourself in, again, that makes Grace not an accessory, but an accomplice, because she falsified that. So that would, reflect negatively on her. So I'm still confused about what his mind frame is. Like I said, turning himself in would actually hurt Grace. So I wonder, it's interesting to me. So then, they ask him, so like, we can play this off, like, we can say that, well, we can't play this off. They can say that he's a drug addict. He says, I'm not no drug addict. So then, they were like, he was like, I'm going to turn myself in tomorrow. And Aaron was like, okay, well, instead of you turn yourself in tomorrow, why not do it today? He's like, so you think I won't do it? I'll turn myself in. And they were like, no, that's not what we're saying. We don't want you to turn yourself in, period. And then Grace tells Aaron that she believes that AJ is hiding something. And I definitely agree with Grace that AJ is definitely hiding something. I just don't know what that something he's hiding is, which we'll talk about that toward the end of the episode, but I just don't know what that something is that, he's hiding. And Grace is telling Aaron that she's not willing to give up on him. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, Grace, but that would be a lost cause right there. I would just have to let it go. I would just have to let that go. So then we also lastly see Grace with AJ, and it's, he's gotten everything together. So, she's asking him once again, AJ, why are you doing all of this? And, she tells him, stay. He says, I can't. And then, he says, he kind of tells her, like, it's better that I don't tell you why everything is going on. And I'm just like, there's something off about him. I haven't put my finger on it quite yet. But there is definitely 100% something off with AJ. I just don't know what it is. Like, I have a lot of theories in my head about what it is with AJ. One part of me, I wonder, did Richard Rochelle them put him up to this? But I don't know. I really don't know. I wonder if he maybe has like a disease or something that he contracted in prison. It's just a lot of stuff that I'm wondering when it comes to him. I just have no idea what the issue, what the deal is with AJ, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But if you guys have any theories or ideas, let me know in the comment section below what you think about AJ. I just cannot put my finger on that for the life of me. All right, you guys. So I spent 3 minutes on AJ. So let's move over to Karissa, dirty hoe ass. So Grace sees Karissa coming down the stairs, and Grace tells Karissa like, "Hey, Karissa, so I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to buy out you and Jacob." And she's like, "Oh, okay, Grace." She's like, "It's just because of this whole thing, AJ popping up." And Carissa's like, "Okay, Grace, I gotta go." She's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I got," she says, "I have to get to urgent care." I'm like, "Urgent care?" I'm like, "Please don't tell me that this bitch is pregnant." So then we see Karissa at urgent care, and she's praying to herself. She's like, "Please let the test be negative. Please let the test be negative." I'm like, "Please let the test be positive. Please let the test be positive, God, please." And the doctor comes in and tells Karissa, "It's positive." I'm like, "Oh, is this bitch pregnant?" And she says, "Nope, it's positive. You have chlamydia." I'm like, "Motherfucker, she got chlamydia." Damn. So, she gives Karissa her medication to take, and she tells her, "You cannot have sex for 10 days. I'm like, "Ooh, you dirty dog bitch." Now, if this wasn't Karissa, I would really feel bad for Karissa, because we all know Jacob cheated on Karissa many of times. And then the one time Karissa cheats, she gets chlamydia. I was just like, "Oh my God." So then we see Jacob. So Jacob, they in bed, and she's reading the Bible, and Jacob, trying to fill on her. She's like, "Not tonight, Jacob." He's like, "Damn, Carissa, what did I do?" She said, "You didn't do anything, Jacob. I'm on my period, and I'm just not, feeling very well." He was like, "Oh, feel well better. Feel well soon, babe." I'm like, "Oh, girl. How you gonna play off?" I'm like, "You ain't gonna be able to play that off for very much longer that you're on your period. You're not gonna be able to play that one off." So then we see Jacob, he later in the episode. So Jacob, we find out that, I guess Jacob think that he had a urinary tract, I guess like a UTI or something like that, a bladder infection. And he was asking for these, I guess like Flintstone tablets or something that they used to give Zora when she was a kid for her bladder infection. She says, "Jacob, you don't have a bladder infection." She's like, "How do you know that?" She's like, "Because, yeah, I don't know how to tell you this, but I love you." I'm like, "Bitch, nah, don't go there. Tell him the truth." She was like, "So I have chlamydia." He's like, "Wait a minute, you got chlamydia? Oh, you must got this from Fernando." And he done figured it out. I'm like, dun dun dun. The light bulb went off on Jacob. Yes, she got it from Fernando. And he basically tells Carissa, like, "Get your shit, get the pack." And she's like, "This is your mother's house. It's the same woman, it's the same mother's house that you didn't want to be in. So do me, you, Jacob, and Winky, and Zora a favor and get the hell out." So he tells her, like, "You need to call a lawyer because this marriage is over." And then we see how she calls Fernando. I'm like, "Oh, so when things go awry, you call Fernando. Go." So then we do see Carissa. She goes to Fernando's office, and Fernando has this will of a woman. Her name is Miss Davis, the woman that owned the house before the Greenleafs. And he was like, the woman was killed, and if you look at the will, it has an executor of her will on there, and it's Robert McCready. And I'm like, that name sounds, is that Mac, you guys? I can't, what is, I think that's Mac, right? So, and then he also told her that this will superseded another will, but that first will has disappeared. And then he was like, "So what is the good news you have for me?" She said, "Whop, you gave me chlamydia." And I'm like, "Well," and here's the thing with Carissa, like, I'm assuming maybe Jacob was smart, and with the women that he cheated with, he used a condom, but here you are having sex with Fernando, a man that you don't even know, without a condom. How smart is that, Carissa? And you're an educator. You're an educator. But I guess, everybody ain't got the sense that God gave a mule, but moving on. So then lastly in the episode, so we saw Carissa, she was talking to Jacob once again. She had that will in her hand. And he was like, "So, did you find somewhere to go?" He's like, "Really and truly, I don't give a hell damn where you go, but get the hell out of here." She was like, "Oh, you might want to change that tone and don't talk to me like that anymore, unless you want Bishop to die in jail." I'm like, "You dirty hoe. Oh, you dirty hoe. Like, you's a dirty asshole." And then, she says to Jacob that it looks like, man Bishop may have killed Miss Davis and took her house. And I'm like, how would you like it if we killed you and got rid of your body? Nobody would be none the wiser. Nobody would even wink an eye at Karissa. Karissa who? Oh, Jacob's wife? Man, she just, she was here one day and, Jacob said she went on a vacation, but she never came back. Her and Lady May had some strife, so I'm sure she ran for the hills, ran for the border. Wherever Carissa is, I'm pretty sure she's happy, and so may God rest her soul. May God have mercy on her. May God do whatever He wants to do to Carissa, and nobody would be none the wiser to the fact that you are dead, Carissa. Like I can arrange that, Carissa. I can arrange for you to be dead. Trust and believe. I got some goons and some hitters that'll take you out and line up that hair, like. Ooh, Karissa, you dirty bitch. That's one dirty bitch that needs to die, and we got two more dirty bitches to talk about. So stick around for that one. All right, so let's talk about Bishop and May. So I know that they were talking to Clara, and I can't remember I think the other one was the one that Lady May went to that that meeting with when she talked about her dad molesting her and raping her. So they're talking to Bishop and May about what H&H wants to do. They want the board meeting to happen. And, what they want to do is they want to dissolve Calvary as a corporation and make it, make it a one big division of H&H. And then, they're talking about this vote, how it's going to be a tie vote. And Clara says, they're like, with Clara on board, we need charity. And May was like, what has that idiot done now? I'm like, May, she hasn't done nothing yet. I'm like, she's a deciding vote. And Bishop does tell her, he was like he was telling her what the bylaws said. And Bishop feels like he can, get through the charity and have her vote in the way of their friends. I'm like, Bishop, charity is a lost cause at this point. And I believe even Lady May sees that. So then we see Bishop, he's asking Charity for her help. And Charity says, oh, you want my help? Nah, bitch, we don't. Ooh. Oh, praise Jesus. I just wanted to reach through that TV and slap the shit, the piss, the dog shit out of Charity. I just want to slap the shit out that bitch. Because then she's like, where have you been my whole life when I needed your help? It was always GG this and GG that and GG. Charity, you're jealous. Like, you want to be a pastor so badly, but you got all this malice in your heart, all this hate, all these hard feelings for your sister. Like, you can't be a woman of God leading the flock and have all this contention in your heart. Like, I just don't get how she doesn't see that the negativity that is her. How can you lead a flock? How can you lead the congregation? And there's so much hatred, so much malice, so much disdain. Like all that shit is in your heart for your flesh and blood sister. Like, come on. Like, come the hell on. It's so fucking stupid. Like, I just want to slap the shit out of Charity. That bitch gets on my nerves. Oh, God. She got on my last goddamn nerve. So then we see Bishop. So, he was talking to May. And then Lady May got a call. Well, he got a call. And May was like, she don't want to know what happened with that call. So then she gets a call. And she tells Bishop that it was Bob, and Bob wants her to come down to the church and talk to him about the future. I'm like, May, don't do it, Lady May. Please don't do it. Don't fall for that bullshit. But I know Lady May. Come on, I'm whoo. Okay, so next we do see Lady May. So Lady May is talking to Bob, and Bob is still on this whole thing of he wants to integrate the church. He wants to bring in black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people. I'm like, dude, do you not know that black people teach differently than white people? But whatever. And then, he's also talking about how he wants to make that, make Calvary the home church. He also wants it to be wants to run the operation from there. And he's telling May that he wants to run this church with her. And then she's like, okay, that's fine. And she says, you know what? I want to talk to you about Grace and her situation as it pertains to Phil DeMars. So then we see Lady May. So she's talking to Bishop. And, I guess she told Bishop what all she talked to Phil about. Stupid ass phone. And Bishop is telling her like, no, we're not gonna do like, don't do that. And she tells Bishop that she feels like if she can get close to Bob, that I guess she can work on getting the church back from harmony and hope. And Bishop tells her like, you're being stupid, May. And I'm like, ooh, she's been stupid. And she says, well, James, it's already a done deal. I've already told Bob yes. And I'm like, oh my God, Lady May, why would you do that? Why would you tell Bob yes? Huh. My Lady May. My Lady May. My Lady May. But we're going to move on, you guys. All right, so then this episode, so we saw Bob. He was back, and he was going off on Judy with two E's and Phil because this wasn't a part of his plan for Grace to quit the church. And he asked Phil, so was this something that you did? And Phil said, in some way yes, some way no. I'm like, no, it was all the way yes, no, somewhat. It was all the way. And Phil says he doesn't think that Grace expected for AJ to show up. And he's like, so he's here? He's like, well, he said something. I forgot what he said. So then he asked, okay, so he asked, is there I don't know what the hell it says. He asked, he asked, is there, oh, he asked, is he there? And he says he believes he is. Okay, talking about AJ. And Judy says, well, he's in love with this singer. And Judy looked like she was heartbroken when she had to say he's in love with the singer. And Bob asked, why did Grace step down? And Phil says, because, she lied to the police, giving, AJ an alibi. And he was like, damn it, I thought she was the one good Greenleaf. Well, she is a one good Greenleaf, but that is her child. And, she wasn't there for him when he was a child. So, she wants to be there for him now. So she's a mother protecting her cub. So then, he's like, so what's going on with the board? Like, why don't we have control of it? And Judy was like, well, because the Greenleafs found out about the, what they did with Connie, the bribe. He says, okay, so what I want is I want for the board to meet tomorrow, and by the end of that, I want to have total control. And Judy says, okay, Daddy, you'll have. He says, no, you're going back to Phoenix. And she like, well, damn, it wasn't even me. It was Phil. And she leaves. So then, Bob is talking to Phil, and he's talking about the relationship between Judy and Phil, and Judy's husband. And he just feels like, I guess Bob feels like Phil did Judy wrong in the whole situation. And then, he's talking about Charity again. He's talking about how he feels that Charity is going to be an asset to them. I'm like, oh. I would say poor Charity, but I'm not going to say poor Charity because it's not poor Charity. Because dumb Charity put dumb Charity in this position. So I'm not going to say poor Charity. I'm going to say screw Charity. Dumbass. So then we saw Bob. So he was talking to Phil. And, Phil was just talking about how people, were asking him about being in charge. And Bob was like, well, guess what? You're not in charge anymore. He says, I've made a deal with Lady May. And, she told me everything that you did with Grace, which I knew you had a deeper hand in this than what you were saying. And Phil just started begging to Bob, like, what do I have to do, Bob? What do I have to do to get in your good graces? I'm like, you just tap dancing for the massa, ain't you, huh? You just tap dancing for massa. What you want from me, massa? Yes, sir, massa. Like, you just a tap dancing coon. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to end good for Phil. This is not going to end good. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute, how it's not going to end good for Phil or Charity. This blockhead, Charity. So we see Charity. She went to Lady May. And, we can see that Lady May, this is early in the episode, so we see that Lady May, her face, this was after Grace left, quit the church. And you could just see all the worry, all the angst in Lady May's face. And she's scared because all that they have left at this point is the land and the house. And Charity's like, well, Mama, I had nothing to do with that. And Lady May was like, I find that quite interesting, Charity. How do you suppose that Phil DeMars got, any information on Grace? Does he have this place bugged? Does he have somebody outside on the grounds in a van with, an antenna? Like, what do you expect, Charity? And I'm like, Charity, how dumb do you think people are? Like, oh my God, she irritates the freaking hell out of me. So, and I love the fact that Lady May called Charity feels helpless pawn. And, she says, I never meant to hurt you, Mama. And Lady May had to break it down to her like, well, Charity, you are part of me. So if you're hurt, I'm hurt. Grace, part of me. She hurts, I hurt. AJ, part of her, she hurts. Well, he hurts, she hurts, I hurt. You hurt your entire family. And I just don't understand, Charity. Like, how do you let a outsider come in and infiltrate your family? Well, he didn't infiltrate your family. He infiltrated you. And you let him turn you completely against your family. Like, that is so stupid. Like, I would never, ever, no matter what me and my family go through, we could argue, we could bicker, we could say, I hate you. You could say, some of the most despicable things to me, which has happened. But I'm not going to ever go against my family. Ever in life will I ever go against my family. But this dumbass has gone against her family because she is jealousy of Grace. Pure, honest jealousy. So then Charity is asking Phil, so Phil, are you using me? Well, of course he's not going to say yes. She's like, because I could lose my entire family. And he says, trust me. Trust in me. Oh, so you God now? And he's like, no, but I am the man that loves you. I'm like, oh. What a dumb ass. What a complete dumbass. So then we see the board, they're voting, and Phil goes to get Charity so she could come in and she could be this high-breaking vote. She says, do I have to? He says, well, you really don't have to. Yeah, you have to, because they need you. Both sides need you. Like, do what's right for your families. Like, forget Phil. Like, you being being a pastor, you do realize you're not fit to lead anybody, not even yourself. You don't even take care of your own child. Marisol takes care of your child. Like, girl, fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. So then we see these two. They're at Phil's place. And, Phil wants her to stay. And she's like, I'm an old-fashioned type of girl. I'm like, oh, okay. If you say so. So then he pulls a ring out. And he says, will you marry me? She said, and she didn't. He said, well, he said, he had a question for it, and hopefully the answer is yes. And she's like, what kind of question? He says, and it's a ring. I'm like, you dumbass. And she didn't, like I said, she didn't say yes, and we see them just getting busy on the couch. I'm like, oh, what a dumbass. You're going to regret that pretty soon, my sister. You ain't even my sister, my enemy. You're going to regret that. Oh, let's talk about Sophia for a minute. Sophia look like she's gonna get a little bit bucky wild in this beast. So we see Sophia, she is with Dante. And, she and Dante, they were making out. I'm like, oh, okay. Y'all getting a little heated. And then she's like, well, my brother is back, so I'm gonna have to go visit my brother. And, because he's back. And then we see Sophia, so she's talking to AJ, and she's like, so, can I email you in prison? And I think he said that could get you landed in solitary. I'm like, wow, okay. She's like, well, can I write you? He says, yes. She says, well, how do I put money on your books? He says, don't write me, don't put money on my books, pretend like I, forget that I ever existed. I'm like, done deal. I've already forgot that you existed. So, then she gets a phone call, and she says, can I come over? I'm like, I'm like, it must be Dante. And I was right. It was Dante. So, she is at Dante's, and Sophia is ready to give up her little V card. I'm like, oh, okay. We got a new hairdo. Last week's episode, you had that bun on the top of your head with them Chinese bangs. Ooh, Sophia, you wildin'. I ain't gonna judge you, but ooh, I see you, sis. You're letting your slip show. But again, no judgment from me. No judgment from me. All right, you guys, and to close out this episode and this season. Is this now? Somebody please explain to me. Is this a mid-season finale or is this an actual season finale? Like, because it said that they'll be back in they'll return in 2020. They didn't say fall 2020, so I'm pretty sure this is a mid-season finale. I'm pretty positive it is, because if it was like fall of 2020, they would have said fall 2020. But even if it was spring 2020, they would say spring 2020. They just said 2020. Huh. Somebody please let me know, because I mean, this 10 episodes was not enough for me. I need longer. But let's close the episode out. So we see Phil DeMars, and he goes over to the Greenleaf, estate, and he tells Lady May, the deal with Bob, it's off. And she's like, what do you mean? He says, yes, Bob told me that you told him what I did to Grace, and he's gonna call you and let you know that the deal is done. She says, well, I'll wait for Bob to call me. And when he said that, Bob called her. He says, oh, and one other thing, Lady May. He says, I know that you and Bishop have some things at the church. You might want to come get it. And Zora's like, and why is that? He says, oh, because in a week, we'll be demolishing the church. And I will be running Harmony and Hope. I'm like, you son of a bitch. You slippery serpent. You slippery serpent. You snake in the grass. I know it's the same thing, but God. Oh, I would just love to just gouge his eyes out. So then the dumb bitch herself comes down the stairs, and she's like, well, what are you here for? What are you here for? I've already said yes, you don't have to ask for permission. And Lady May was like, permission for what? She says, oh, for this. And it's not coming off ever. I'm like, huh, that's what you think. That's what you think. He says, so, let's go upstairs. I have to talk to you about something. And she's like, okay. She out get him. I'm like, you dumbass. I'm like, he finna break up with you. He's about to break up with you. He got what he wanted. He is now running H&H. He does not need you. You fulfilled the needs of him, and it's over and done. So, he goes upstairs, and he tells her, there is no wedding for you and I. She was like, what do you mean? He says, I'm marrying Judy. I said, oh, now that I did not see coming. And then we see Grace. Grace is out, by Faith's grave, and she's praying. And then there's some strange man that comes up to her. He knows who Faith is. He says, that's your sister. She says, how do you know that? He says, I looked at the dates, and I kind of put it together. And then he as he was leaving, he said, I'll be seeing you around, Grace. I'm like, wait a minute. Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is he? Somebody explain to me who this nigga is. Like, who the fuck is he? Harpo, who is this man? But you guys, that was the season finale, mid-season finale, whichever one you want to call it, of Greenleaf. Be sure to like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, share this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow for The Oval and for, what's that other show, you guys? American Horror Story. Later.